I'm a cafe owner in Copenhagen, and last August, this American woman walked in during our afternoon rush, carrying her laptop and a massive iced coffee she'd brought from somewhere else. She sat down, opened her computer, and announced to her friend she was calling in for a meeting. I know it's for PM here, but it's only 10 ADOTM. Back home. So I told my boss I'd be available. Her friend looked confused. Isn't this your vacation? The woman waved her hand. It's just a quick call. Gotta stay visible, you know? She proceeded to take a 2-hour conference call in the middle of my cafe, talking about quarterly reports while Danish families tried to enjoy their afternoon coffee. When she finally hung up, she looked at me and said, "You're so lucky you get to run this place on European hours. Must be nice to only work part-time." My neighbor in Lyon runs a bakery, and he told me about an American tourist who came in at 7 a.m. demanding a breakfast sandwich to go because she had a full day of sightseeing and couldn't waste time sitting down to eat. When he explained, we don't really do sandwiches at that hour, and suggested she'd try the croissants at one of the tables, she looked genuinely upset. I don't have time to sit. Don't you understand productivity? She left to find a different place, muttering something about European laziness. I was visiting my cousin in Amsterdam when we saw an American couple at a canal-side restaurant arguing with the waiter. It was 8 p.m., and they wanted to know why the kitchen was already closing. The waiter explained it was actually staying open later than usual for tourist season. The husband shook his head. Back home, restaurants are open till midnight at least. People work late, you know. They need options. The wife chimed in. This is what happens when everyone's off at 5. Nobody's around to serve the people who actually work hard. I work at a museum in Vienna, and this American man came up to the desk at 4:45 asking about annual memberships. I told him we close at 5, so he'd need to come back tomorrow, but I could give him a brochure. He stared at me. You close at 5? On a weekday? When I confirmed, he laughed. That's adorable. Museums back home stay open till 9, 10 sometimes. Because, you know, people work. He pulled out his phone to show me screenshots of American museum hours, as if I needed proof. See? This is what accommodating actual working people looks like. You guys just shut down when it's convenient for you. I tried explaining that most Austrians finish work by 5 or 6, so our hours make sense for our schedule. He shook his head slowly. That's the problem right there. If everyone's done by 5, who's actually putting in the hours to keep the economy going? This is why America leads in innovation. He walked out still shaking his head, and my colleague turned to me and said, "Did he just explain economics to you in a museum?" My brother manages an office building in Stockholm, and last year an American consulting firm rented space for 3 months. I'm visiting him for lunch when their project manager storms into his office. "Your security keeps locking us out at 7 p.m. We've got a major deadline, and we need access till at least midnight." My brother explained the building closes at 7 for security and energy reasons, and if they need late access, they'd have to arrange it in advance. The manager's face went red. This is insane. How is anyone supposed to get work done with these restrictions? Back home, offices are accessible 24/7 because we understand that success doesn't happen on a 9-to-5 schedule. My brother suggested they adjust their project timeline to fit Swedish working hours. The manager actually laughed. Adjust our timeline? We're on an international deadline. The world doesn't stop just because Sweden wants to go home for dinner. He insisted this was proof that European work culture was holding back global progress, and he'd be reporting this limitation to his American headquarters as a significant operational barrier. I'm a gym receptionist in Brussels, and this American woman signed up for a membership last spring. She came in one evening around 6:30, furious. "Why is the pool closed already?" "It's not even 7, I explained. "Our pool closes at 6 on weekdays, since most members swim in the morning or at lunch." She crossed her arms. "That's discriminatory against people who work real hours. I don't get off till 6, and by the time I get here, everything's shut down." When I mentioned we open at 6 a.m., she rolled her eyes. "I'm not waking up at 5 to swim before work. That's not balance. That's insanity." She pulled up her old gym schedule in Virginia on her phone. See this. Open till 11 p.m. every night. That's how you accommodate professionals. She launched into this whole speech about how European gyms prove that the continent doesn't understand career ambition. If you're serious about your career, you work late. And if you work late, you need services that match your schedule. But here everything closes like it's 1950. I run a pharmacy in Dublin, and we're closed on Sundays except for emergencies. This American family came banging on the door one Sunday afternoon. I opened it to see what the emergency was, and the father said, "We need sunscreen. We're going to the beach." I told him we were closed on Sundays and suggested the convenience store 2 blocks down that sells basics. He looked at his wife. Closed on Sunday. Can you believe this? Then back to me. How do you run a business closed 1/7 of the time? That's a 14% revenue loss right there. I tried explaining that Sunday closure is pretty common in Ireland, and I value time with my family. He cut me off. That's the difference between American and European business mentality. We understand that customers don't stop needing things just because it's Sunday. This is why American pharmacies are more successful. We're open when people need us. His teenage son looked embarrassed, but the father kept going, explaining that mandatory closure laws proved Europe didn't understand capitalism. He finally left, muttering about how this would never fly in a real economy. I work behind the counter at a sandwich shop in Berlin, and last month this American guy came in at 1:30. He ordered a sandwich, then stood at the counter eating it while scrolling his phone. After about 5 minutes, he looked around. "You don't have any tables?" I pointed to the seating area in the back. He shook his head. "No, I mean quick tables. Stand-up counters. I've got a meeting in 20 minutes. And I said people usually sit down to eat here." He laughed. "That's so inefficient. Standing tables are genius. You eat faster, you don't get too comfortable, and you get back to work quicker." He explained that American sandwich shops understood that lunch wasn't about leisure, it was about refueling. Europeans treat every meal like it's a ceremony. Sometimes you just need to eat and go. He finished his sandwich while pacing near the door, checking his watch twice. Before he left, he told me I should suggest stand-up counters to my manager. You'd turn tables way faster. This is basic food service optimization. My sister manages a cafe in Lisbon, and she told me about an American remote worker who'd been coming in every day for a week. He'd buy one coffee, sit for 4 hours working on his laptop, then act offended when she'd gently suggest he might want to order something else. On the 5th day, he approached the counter. "I don't understand your business model. Back home, cafes encourage people to stay and work. Buy one coffee, stay all day. That's how you build community and loyalty." My sister explained that Portuguese cafes are meant for shorter visits, socializing, and regular turnover. He shook his head. "But that's leaving money on the table. If I stay for hours, I might buy a second coffee, maybe a pastry. If you kick me out after one, you lose that upsell opportunity." He pulled up an article on his phone about American coffee shop economics and tried to walk her through the numbers. See, Americans figured out that workspace cafes are the future. You guys are still stuck in this old-fashioned sit, sip, leave mentality. This is why Starbucks had to teach Europe how to do coffee properly. I'm a waiter at a restaurant in Prague, and this American couple came in for dinner on a Tuesday night. I brought them menus, told them about our specials, and left them to decide. 15 minutes later, they hadn't looked at the menus. They were deep in conversation, laughing, having wine. After another 10 minutes, I checked back, and they said they needed more time. This went on for 90 minutes. They ordered appetizers, entrees, dessert, more wine, coffee. By the time they finished, it was almost midnight, and they were the last table. When I brought the bill, the husband looked at it and said, "No automatic gratuity." I explained we don't usually add it automatically in Czech Republic. He nodded slowly. "That's because your service speed doesn't warrant it. We've been here 3.5 hours. In America, restaurants turn tables in 90 minutes max. Time is money," his wife agreed. Europeans don't understand efficiency. You let people linger for hours, and that's costing you revenue. You could have served 3 different parties at this table tonight. I watched them calculate what they thought I'd lost in tips by allowing them to stay so long, completely missing that lingering over dinner is normal here. I'm a barista in Amsterdam. And last week, this American woman came in at noon demanding a large coffee to go. I made it, handed it to her, and she stood at the counter. "Don't you have a sleeve for this?" "It's burning my hand." "We don't usually use sleeves, so I offered to double cup it." She frowned. "A sleeve is more professional. This is such a European thing. Back home, every cafe has sleeves because we understand people are drinking coffee on the go. In their cars, walking to meetings." She took the double cup reluctantly, then noticed we don't have a mobile app for ordering. You realize you're losing business to places that have apps, right? Americans don't want to stand in line. We mobile order, walk in, grab it, and go. That's the future of coffee service. She explained that European cafes were stuck in this romantic notion of slow coffee culture. But the real money was in convenience and speed. You're leaving thousands on the table every month by not optimizing for the mobile generation. This is why American coffee chains dominate globally. I'm a train conductor in Switzerland, and last summer this American man got on the regional train to Lucerne. About 20 minutes into the journey, he approached me looking agitated. "Excuse me, this train doesn't have Wi-Fi?" I confirmed that regional trains don't typically have it, though inner-city ones often do. He looked stunned. How are people supposed to work during their commute? This is dead time. He pulled out his phone to show me a photo of an American commuter train with Wi-Fi logos everywhere. See, Amtrak figured this out years ago. Europeans talk about work-life balance, but then you waste 2 hours a day commuting with no way to be productive. That's not balance, that's just inefficiency. I tried explaining that many Swiss people use the train time to read, relax, or look at the scenery. He cut me off. Relaxing on a train? That's privileged thinking. Real professionals maximize every minute. This is why American workers are more productive per hour. We don't throw away commute time staring at mountains. My cousin works at a car rental agency in Rome, and he told me about an American customer who refused to rent a manual transmission car. "I need an automatic. I'm going to be driving for work, checking my phone for emails, maybe taking calls. I can't do that with a manual." My cousin explained that driving while using a phone is illegal in Italy, regardless of transmission type. The man laughed. "Yeah, sure, technically. But everyone does it. The point is, automatics let you multitask. Manuals are inefficient. Americans moved past them because we value time. My cousin insisted he couldn't rent him a car if he planned to use his phone while driving. The man got defensive. This is exactly what's wrong with European regulation culture. In the States, we trust adults to make their own decisions. If I need to check an urgent email while driving, that's my call. But here, you guys regulate everything to death and wonder why productivity is lower. I manage a small hotel in Helsinki, and this American businessman checked in last November. The next morning, he came down at 6:30 looking annoyed. "Your breakfast doesn't start till 7? I've got a meeting at 7:30 across town." Apologized and offered him some coffee and pastries we keep at the desk for early guests. He shook his head. This would never happen at an American hotel. They understand that business travelers operate on business schedules, not hotel convenience schedules. He explained that American hotels often start breakfast at 5 or 6 to accommodate early meetings. Europeans don't grasp that time zones exist. I'm dealing with New York hours, which means I'm up at 4. But your whole operation is built around European 9-to-5 thinking. He ended up leaving without eating, and when he checked out 2 days later, he told me he'd be leaving a review warning American business travelers about our restrictive breakfast policies that don't accommodate international work schedules. My tour guide in Barcelona. And last spring, I had an American woman on a walking tour who kept checking her phone. At one point, she stopped the group. "Sorry, I need to take this call. It's work." She stepped aside for 20 minutes while everyone waited, then came back looking stressed. "My boss needed an update on a project." "Can't exactly tell him I'm unavailable," another American in the group said. "Just set your out of office message. You're on vacation." She looked at him like he'd suggested something crazy. and risk looking uncommitted. In American work culture, being available shows dedication. Europeans can disappear for weeks at a time because there's no competition, no pressure. But in the States, if you're not responsive, someone else will take your spot. She explained that this was why American companies dominated globally, while European ones struggled. We stay connected. We're always on. That's the price of success. The other American quietly mentioned he worked for a European company now and enjoyed actually disconnecting on vacation. And she responded, "That's exactly the attitude that's killing American work ethic. We used to understand that you don't stop grinding just because you're in Spain." I'm a bartender in Edinburgh, and last month an American couple came in on a Thursday night. It was around 9, and they ordered drinks, then asked about food. I told them the kitchen had just closed. The husband looked at his watch. "It's 9 p.m. on a Thursday. Why is your kitchen closed?" I explained that most pub kitchens close around 8:30 or 9 on weeknights. The wife turned to her husband. "See what I mean? This is the 40-hour work week thing in action. Everyone clocks out exactly on time, and the whole country just shuts down." The husband nodded. "Back home, we understand that customer service doesn't have a clock. People want food at 9, 10, 11 at night. But here, everyone's so worried about their personal time that actual service suffers." They stayed for one drink, talking the whole time about how European balance was really just code for minimal effort. As they left, I heard the wife say, "Imagine running a business where you actually close when customers still want to buy things, and they wonder why their economy can't keep up with ours." I wiped down their table and thought about how I'd spent my afternoon off walking through Holyrood Park with my daughter. Something I can do because my shifts end at reasonable hours. They can call it whatever they want.